Welcome to the recipe. I am your host, the Red Knight. Now, if you enjoy this content, make sure to hit that subscribe button for future Splatoon content like this, because I will be playing Splatoon 3 the way I play Splatoon 2 and the way I play Splatoon 1. But let's talk about Splatoon 2 real quick. When Splatoon 2 ended, its final Splatfest was Chaos versus Order. We all know Chaos won. I was actually part of Team Order. So my final Splatfest in Splatoon 2, it was a losing effort. But my first Splatfest in Splatoon 3 was a winning effort because Team Rock came through with the victory. And this is after the fact that we hit the halfway mark and Team Scissors was winning. And when I saw that, I said, oh no, we got to go extra hard at Team Rock. And I swear, it was like I went into a whole different gear. I feel like I did it myself. I know I didn't. Shout out to everybody who played on Team Rock. But it felt like that. It just felt like I was playing better in the second half. And Team Rock won. Not to my surprise, because I believed in us even after the halfway mark was telling us we were losing, we were down and out. I knew we was going to win, and I'm happy that we did. So like I said, losing effort in the final Splatfest of Splatoon 2, winning effort in the first Splatfest of Splatoon 3. Now I want to talk a little bit about Splatoon 3 because this Splatfest, we didn't have all the features. We didn't have all our little perks. Obviously, we didn't have all the different game modes. So there's a lot that we still have to experience in Splatoon 3. But this was such a good taste. Now, when I originally started playing this Splatfest, I actually was thinking about how we start the matches. You know, we don't start in a little hub anymore. We actually shoot ourselves onto the map. And I was trying to figure out what's the benefit of this. And actually, the benefit, I 100% realized it after a little while of playing. I was like, Nintendo's so genius for this. The benefit is that when you're about to spawn, you aim and you can see the little Octo logo there, you know what I mean? Or Inkling logo, whichever one you are. And you get to just jump out exactly where you aim. But the benefit to that is that you can see your teammates' shadows of where they're going to land. So it basically, it really, what it does is motivates people to land separately to then paint most of the beginning of the turf, which I like, because in Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, you ran too many times into players who would just start and immediately just zoom out and go start trying to, splat people instead of painting, the starting turf. And now this new way you start the matches actually, motivates that aspect of Splatoon, which is good. People needed to be motivated and actually be aware of where people are going to go and what direction, and you can tell now because of this new spawn system. So I really love it. I feel like, man, you can't go back to Splatoon 2 and 1 after this. Like, there was no going back anyway, but like that right there definitely changed up the whole game, and it's such a small thing, but it's super crucial to the turf war mechanic, which is paint, man, paint. And too many players like to just start and not paint. This actually motivates painting, so I really like that. Like the new power-ups, I'm not gonna lie, I like a lot of them. Some of them I feel like I just need to use them with better loadouts, which that's gonna be something that you're gonna have in the full game and you didn't have here. I love the shark that lets you zoom across the map and then it explodes. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite, abilities ever in the whole series. And I'm just hoping that, listen, I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'm hoping that they have that with one of the Zappers, because the Zapper is my favorite weapon. But the weapon that it was actually tied to in the Splatfest was also good. But yeah, I like, the fact that there was a Zapper that had this ability, which they showed off in the last Direct, where all of your teammates could come and basically get a little bit of juice and it powers them up. I think that's cool because, again, it's a team-based ability, so everybody can literally eat off that and then apply that to, all their enemies, all their ops on the turf. And yeah, when you see in other players on the opposite team and they got that little arrow aiming up, they just drunk one of those things. So it makes you also think like, man, do I really want to engage this person, or do I just want to get away and keep painting around them, and once that goes away then come back and splat them? You know what I mean? Like, it just adds a whole nother layer of how you go about things. The spider power up, that one's real cool, and it's cool that you can actually destroy it. At first when you see it in the trailer, you're like, yo, that's a giant mech. Like, how do you beat that? Do you gotta just wait it out? Nah, you can beat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all can jump it and just splat it up, and then it breaks, and then you can just destroy the player who was controlling it. That's cool. The swinging around like Spider-Man on Link with his hook shot, that ability, it's cool, but I really don't like the fact that it throws you right back where you started, as it should, right? Because, I mean, if you don't have teammates who are going to hold you down when you start zooming away, it ain't going to work. Honestly, I think the best strategy with that is once your teammate zooms away, you should jump to him because he can zoom, to the enemy's turf, and then you'll be there. And then when he goes back to his spot, hopefully one of your teammates will be covering where he's going to land, right? So nobody splats him once he lands. And then y'all can just all jump to that player who just jumped to the one who was just zooming around. So when strategy like that starts getting applied, it's really going to change up the dynamic of the whole game. The little achievements you can get at the end, you get 3 like titles basically every time you finish, like most splats, most turf ink, and things like if you took the most damage, you can be number 1 at that, which I've gotten that one a lot, I will say that, because I'm always trying to push forward. So yeah, I'm likely going to take most of the damage, but I was always getting first place too, gold squid little medals, and splatted the most, inked the most turf, spent the most time painting the enemy's base. That one I got a lot because I'm always trying to sneak into the enemy side. Another thing I should mention real quick with the spawning, it also helps with that. If you have an enemy basically choked on their own spawn point, they can actually choose to jump around the players on their spawn point and things like that. So it's better than just having that one circle where everybody spawns and people can just spam it. Even though there was a little shield around it in the previous games, now you can maneuver. You can maneuver how you want to land onto the damn turf, and that's really cool. So yeah, I like so much of it, but we have to talk about the lobby system. The lobby system is really cool. The fact that you can jump into your friends' games, the fact that you can party up and then jump into Turf Wars is what I wanted since the first game. That makes it incredible. And then seeing your friends there and y'all all painting the turf and stuff like that. And that little lobby area has a little second floor, with like some pool tables and arcades and things like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like it's just great. And obviously Splatville, the actual Splatville place is so big with second floors and things like that, in multiple places that look like this is a place for DLC in the future. This is a place for DLC in the future. The way we had that, train station, it was closed off, and then the Ito expansion came out, and then you can go down there. There's a lot of sections like that. Like, I'm wondering, like, is this going to be the place where we go? Is that going to be the place? Are all of these going to be places we go? Because we'll probably get more DLC for this Splatoon than any of the previous ones. There's a lot. And speaking of DLC, that's the thing. We're going to start with 12 maps. Some are going to be a mix of old and new, but even the old maps here, they felt good. Like, I can't even remember the name of the map, but from the previous game, but they just felt, good to play here, and the mechanics actually change up those maps enough. And the tried turf wars, those 3-way turf wars, at first it felt a little bit uneven, right? Because you're just 2 players, or you're either the 4 players in the middle getting jumped by 2 players on one side and 2 players on the other, and then you got that device in the middle that basically helps paint if you can capture it, which it's just super cool. Adds a nice variety to it. But I really did like the 3-way turf battles. Those were really cool to me, and I won a lot of them, and lost a few. And then you have somewhere it's where like the other team will win, not the team of 4, but the other team of 2. So you still do win, even though your Inklings won't celebrate. They'll just be there, but the other team will be celebrating like they're the ones who really won, but you'll still get a victory. So there's like layers to it, and I don't know how that all plays out into tallying up the final results, but it's still interesting. At the end of the day, Team Rock still won. But there's a lot in here, and I feel like I'm sure that I'm missing something. But everything I covered, I really did enjoy. And I'm going to tell you this much. Once this Splatfest ended, all I was feeling like I want to play more Splatoon. But I damn sure don't want to play Splatoon 2. And it's not because it's bad. It's just, after playing this, it's like, you don't want to play Splatoon 2. You want to play 3. And thank God we only got to wait. You know what I'm saying? All we got to wait is one more Friday. 2 weeks, basically. And we're there and we're back in Splatsville doing it up. I love the way you created your character at the beginning, and the character would lift his glasses when you know, do your eye color, and then take off the hoodie when you're doing your hair, and then drop the whole damn hoodie garment thing it was wearing when you're, you know, picking your pants and stuff like that. And then you know, your little small fry friend, you hook him up, pick his little hairstyles, and then you're on that train and you get to the city and it's like, whoa, look how massive this is compared to the previous ones. Really cool, man, really cool. And again, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't use the stores. You couldn't, you know, add your little perks, upgrade, you know, your weapons and things like that. There was none of that. There was none of that. So when those abilities do come, and being able to jump out of the ink and, you know, do that squid jump and have a little moment of invincibility where you're not taking damage and then jumping back into the ink, that's gonna add, I mean, a completely different dynamic. It's gonna have real you know, effect on the game and gameplay. Like, I'm a person who's running around, you know, trying to get always to the opposite end, you know, to the enemy team's turf. And that ability right there, jumping out the ink and being, you know, vulnerable for a bit, that's gonna help a player out like me a lot. Like, there was one of the awards was like it was like moved around the most or something like that, or like basically who traveled the most distance. I was getting that one like almost every round because I'm always running around. I'm never just standing still. I'm always trying to get to the enemy turf, and that's why one of my I really do hope that there's a place where you can see the award that you collected the most of, you know, because I know one of mine was you know, painting enemy turf, and you get like first, seconds, and things like that. And I was getting first all the time with the gold squid and stuff like that. So yeah, really cool, man. Like, I like all of the quality of life things that they added to the game. That's the thing. I like all of it. Like, they really went out of their way to answer a lot of people's issues with the first game and the second game. And even though we couldn't in the Splatfest, we couldn't skip, you know, any of the intro stuff, you're gonna be able to do that. And that was one of the biggest criticisms I've heard of Splatoon. It was one of mine too, but that was one of the biggest criticisms I heard of people like, yeah, completely dropping the game. See, I ain't never do that, but there was people who completely dropped the game. There was, yeah, I can't just stand turning it on and then having to, you know, sit through all that dialogue. Now you're gonna be able to skip that, and that's really cool. And that's the thing. This feels like to a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's just Splatoon 2.5, and it's like, Nintendo don't have many of those. Nintendo don't have many games where it's like, oh, it's just a, you know, 2.5. And a lot of the times, us Nintendo fans, we beg for it. Like, yo, just make an F-Zero. It don't matter. You don't got to come up with some crazy wild out idea. It's like Mario Kart. We got gravity. We got all of this craziness. You're upside down. They're always trying to add something new. And it's like, where's Mario Kart 9? They're probably thinking up the new mechanic, whether it was a double dash, whether, you know what I mean? They're always thinking of stuff with their games. Oh, why is Zelda taking so long? Why is this the longest we waited for a Zelda game? Because they're innovating. They're not just going to do Breath of the Wild 2.5 like a lot of folks thought. Oh yeah, we're going to get Zelda in a year's time. It's going to be like that Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask transition, and that is not the case. This is the longest wait we've had for a Zelda game, you know, and there's no 2D games to hold us over with right now or nothing like that, you know. Yeah, we had 2D game, but it was a remake. It wasn't a brand new game like Link Between Worlds or something like that, you know. So we've just been waiting, and we don't get a lot of 2.5s, like I'm saying. And Splatoon, I'm fine with that, because there's so many shooting games out there that do the bare minimum, and they come out every year, you know what I'm saying? And they come out to all of this praise and everything. But then I see people trying to hold Splatoon up to this crazier standard, but it's like they gave us banging DLC with the second game. It had a way better single player, the second game, right? And that's before the Octo expansion. So when you put those together, amazing single player all around, and then great online. It's like this one is just doing more, you know, better. The game visually looks a lot cleaner. Somehow, some way, it looks cleaner than Splatoon 2. And yeah, to me, it's a good jump, especially after playing it. And again, not having those new little abilities that you're going to have that are going to really change up the dynamics of the game. A lot of those were missing from this Splatfest, and it was already better than Splatoon 2. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. And I think this is 100%, you know, worthy of the title Splatoon 3. You know, a lot of times people complain about Splatoon and they say, oh yeah, they want the single player to be something else, or something that Splatoon isn't, never pretended to be. And it's like, oh yeah, I want a full-blown, you know, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land adventure for Splatoon, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it's like, Splatoon is what it is, and it has its levels, and some work as a tutorial early on, and then they get harder and more difficult. And that was just super true of the sequel, Splatoon 2. And then the Octo expansion took it to a whole nother level. Splatoon 3, from the single player we saw on Treehouse Live, it's looking like it's going to start in like a middle point between Splatoon 2 single player and Octo expansion. But the game is going to probably ramp up past Octo expansion. And that's before we get an Octo expansion for Splatoon 3. So I'm personally happy with it, and I don't put, all of these unfair, let's say, like rules on Splatoon, because again, there's not many games that Nintendo releases, hell, even 2 iterations of in the generation. And here we are with Splatoon 2, and now we're getting Splatoon 3. So I'm not gonna complain. As a person who's been playing that, who's been complaining and waiting, to play a brand new F-Zero game or even a Star Fox game. It's been a minute since Zero already. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm just like, the wait be hurting. As a person who's one of his favorite games, top 3 favorite games is Metroid Prime, the trilogy. How long have I waited for one of those? And yeah, I'm getting one finally, but I'm still waiting. You know what I mean? So it's nice to have Splatoon consistently there holding us down, and it's that multiplayer game that justifies, paying Nintendo for their online service and things like that. It's one of their most robust online games, and it's definitely their best supported one. You know what I'm saying? I would still say that even with Mario Kart having incredible support, Splatoon gets amazing support for 2 years straight, and it continues to change the game on a monthly basis, weekly basis, and then, Splatfest and things like that just make it interesting, and obviously the trends and things like that. Splatoon is one of a kind for Nintendo. The way Nintendo has their Xenoblade, and it's like, yo, that's ringing bells in the world of RPGs. Splatoon is that in the world of shooters. Like, let's never forget Splatoon 1 came out and did better than the Halo that came out at that time. And Halo was massive. And then Splatoon 2 came out and did better also. And Splatoon 2 is almost certainly going to do better than Halo Infinite. I'm not trying to poke fun at Halo. I played Halo, all of them, enjoyed them. You know what I'm saying? But Splatoon came out of nowhere and did the damn thing. And as a person who loved playing GoldenEye on his 64, who loved playing Perfect Dark on his 64, who loved playing the Time Splitters games and the EA 007 games like Nightfire and Agent of Defiance and things like that, I love playing multiplayer experiences on my Nintendo console. And Splatoon is one directly from Nintendo, like Perfect Dark, like GoldenEye. And I love when they do it, because every time they do it, it tends to be a classic. It tends to be game changing, and I would say those 64 shooters were game changing, obviously, for shooting experience on the consoles. GoldenEye was the one that really opened that door, kicked it down. You know what I'm saying? And then Halo came through it and got almost all the credit for it. But let's not act like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark weren't right there. You know what I mean? Literally, they built the goddamn door for Halo to walk through. So I like seeing Splatoon on a Nintendo console. Show Nintendo's basically learning with online, right? Because we've seen them go from 1, 2, 3, and each one has gotten drastically better. I would say drastically now with 3, because the online is so much better. It was so much easier to just connect with your friends, which was something that I always complained about with Splatoon 2. Is like, you'll see your friends on, but if the room is not full, then you can't jump in. There's no way. Like this one, you can make a room and then you can send out like a universal invite to all of your friends who are online. Like, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I love to see that. I love to see shooters on Nintendo console. And then this is one with an actual Nintendo twist, and it's super innovative, super fun, and stands toe to toe with any other shooters out there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Splatoon 3, man, I'm loving it. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really, really loving it. And if you played it, let me know in the comment section below what you thought of it. Let me know if you got one of those 10 time battles. I did 2 of those, won both of them. Cool. I did the 100 times battle. You get crazy points for those. I went up to like over 5 winning streaks, and I like that they show you your team's winning streak, and then they'll show you the opponents winning streaks right at the start of the match. So it's cool because it motivates you. Like, oh yeah, I want to break that winning streak that they got, or something like that. Or you don't want to let them break your winning streak. I like that feature. Like, there's a lot of cool little things in the game like this that I'm sure we don't even got all of it as the game actually launches, then starts getting updates and upgrades. We're really gonna have a feel for all of the changes, and the changes do change up the game. You know what I'm saying? They do change up the mechanics enough. Like, nobody wants the core of Splatoon to change. I would hope not, because if you want that, then go play something else. Splatoon is about turf wars, it's about ink, and it's about going in your ink, hiding, putting ink on the wall, hiding, somebody walk by and then splat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fun of Splatoon at the end of the day. So that core is still there. But they add things that change up the dynamic, that make you think different. How you go about stuff. Like, you running around, you see somebody transform into a spider, you're like, oh shit, I never ran into this kind of situation before. And you run away, you know what I'm saying? The closest thing to that was probably the hammer when it chases you, which, when you run into a spider and a hammer in Splatoon 3, it ain't fun, and you're likely not gonna survive it. You're likely not gonna survive it. But let me tell you, the shark, oh man, I do work with that shark. I did a triple kill. Oh, that's the last thing I want to mention. The wipeouts. I love the fact that when you slaughter a whole team, I went in there with my shark. I killed one guy, and then I went, well, splat. I say kill. I splat one guy, and then I used my shark, went into 3 guys. Blah! Splattered all 3 of them, and that wipeout comes across the screen. You just feel some type of way. You feel good inside, like, yeah. Like there's a goddamn medal for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not actually a medal, but there's a damn graphic for it. Lets you know, like, yo, you just slaughtered them. Yo, I played one match where we got 2 wipeouts in a single match, and I was like, damn, we are absolutely killing. Like, it's so good, it's so fun. But yeah, man, Splatoon continues to be just such a fun shooting game, and every time the game comes out, it's event. That's what it really feels like. It's an event. Like when Zelda comes out, like when 3D Mario comes out. Nintendo has those certain games that feel like event games. You know what I'm saying? Like when Pokemon Violet came out, or when Xenoblade just came out. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel it in the Nintendo fandom. If it was a volcano, right now it's erupting with a bunch of ink. And come not this week Thursday, next week Thursday, it's going to erupt right into midnight to the launch of the game and all of that good stuff. I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Nintendo's been killing it this year. I've actually been having a good time with Kirby's Dream Buffet. Obviously Forgotten Land. Like, they just been killing it this year, and they still got a bunch of bangers, left to come out this year, like Bayonetta and things like that. It's crazy, but yeah, Splatoon, cannot wait for it. Again, let me know what you think in the comment section and all of that good stuff. Until the next one, peace.